UFP, the United Federation of Podcasts.
Infinite diversity.
Live long and prosper, and welcome to Infinite Diversity, a Star Trek Universe podcast here on the United Federation of Podcast Network. I'm your host for today, Brandon Shea Butella, and joining me, as always, is my ever-constant co-hosts, Justin and Chrissie. Chrissie, how are you doing today?
I'm doing okay, but I gotta ask, have you gotten taller?
I have gotten taller, actually.
Oh, okay, good.
It's these boots that I got.
Oh, that's fine.
You know, like these 6-inch heels added to my already 6'8" is amazing. Let me tell you. You thought I was looking down on you before, man.
It's the confidence. Right. The confidence makes you look taller.
Definitely. Yeah. Well, at least It's not just me. That works.
Good. Justin, how are you doing today? Welcome. What's that? Is that a little boy running behind you there?
No. But how should I address you? Should I call you Brandon or Mr. Matala? Which would you prefer?
I prefer Mr. Brandon.
Mr. Brandon?
Yes, Mr.
That
Brandon.
would not be acceptable. So, Brandon, I'm doing well. Happy to talk about this Discovery episode and to keep calling you what I've always called you.
Okay, sounds good. Excellent. Well, welcome to the show today, everybody. We are here to discuss some more Star Trek Discovery, and I'm looking forward to it. But before we do that, before we jump into our topic, we'd like to take a moment to thank our Patreon patrons who make our show possible, particularly our associate producers, Mr. Justin and David Willett.
Just Justin
Listeners,
is fine.
We'd love to add your name. So is this going to be like a thing, no ranks, but you're just going to say Lieutenant Commander Justin anyways? Like Miriam did in season 2?
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't have a rank. I am just Justin.
You don't have a rank?
Not currently.
Listeners, we'd love to add your name to this list, and we can do that with your monthly subscription of just $10 per month at patreon.com/UFPearth. Also, please don't forget about the Boldly Go project. Celebrate Gene Roddenberry's centennial by sharing what gives you hope for the next century. Go to boldlygo100.org. or use the hashtag BoldlyGo100 to show what makes you optimistic about the future. So we've got a little bit of news. Squeaky Wheel Gets the Grease is the title of this story.
No kidding.
And that squeaky wheel was the Star Trek fandom rioting against Star Trek when they withdrew Star Trek Discovery all around the world 2 days before the season premiere. And Star Trek CBS says they have heard you and quickly negotiated a deal with something called Pluto TV.
That's one of the options. There are multiple options that they're stitched together here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can like buy it online at Amazon as well,
or
around
iTunes
the world.
in some places. Well, and sorry to jump in, but this isn't for every country. I mean, it's a lot of countries, which I think is helpful. Like, I think Paramount Plus is like 30 plus countries that have it now, where they are able to watch Discovery, and then there's some others that have options for Pluto TV. You might be able to buy it on iTunes or Amazon. So definitely hearing from people in some different countries like UK, Australia, Germany, some other places. Let us know if you're in another country and have been able to see it. But it's not every country that Netflix was in, but it's a good start. It's a start, right? Yeah.
It's a good backpedal.
They're reacting to what happened, and like I said last time, I thought they had to do something, and this is the something. So it's a start. Yeah.
Takes time to back that train up after throwing the brakes on so quickly.
but I mean, really, like they did this, I think 7 or 8 days after that, and even though they own a lot of these services, just to negotiate all that time and all the contracts and all that, there was a lot of work behind the scenes that went into this. So I'm sure they did a lot of work on it, but the's more that needs to be done as well.
Yeah.
Anyway. But Chrissie, what are your thoughts?
The timing on this just feels wrong. You know, I'm not going to go so far as to say that they decided to create a media kerfuffle
I don't think that was their intention.
No, I don't think that is. But I also think this happened way too fast to have not at least had some kind of contingency in place that they could have introduced at the time they announced it.
Yeah, I mean, I think we don't know the whole story about what happened, if like Netflix pulled the rug under from them or something else happened that they didn't think of. We don't really know the full story, but like we said last time, it was really bad. And I think they've partly made up for it with this. So that's something.
I don't know. Like I said, if they had been able to say, like, hey, you're not going to have it right now, everything's getting pulled, but in 2 weeks, this will be fixed. So you'll only be a little bit behind and we'll catch you up. I think that would have been a lot smarter of them.
Yeah, we just don't know why that didn't happen or why it might not have been possible. So, but anyway, I think it was, when I saw that, I had some relief. I was like, okay, at least some of the people that couldn't legally see it before can see it. So
yeah.
But Brandon, what do you think?
I think this was a mess from the beginning, and I think that this shouldn't have happened. I think they should have waited until they had everything set up and said, okay, in 3 months' time, or whatever it happens to be, we're going to have Paramount Plus launching in all these countries. And again, why would they take it from the Netflix from those other countries? Because Paramount Plus will not be launched everywhere. Again, whatever it is, it's a mess, and they made a really bad error. And you can put however much lipstick on this pig that you want, okay? But this is still an ugly mess that they've got here. Okay?
Oh, yeah, it's still a problem. But I will tell you, from being on social media, there are definitely people in some of those affected countries that can now watch it that are happy that this has happened so that they can at least legally watch it. So I want to just highlight there is some of that. But yes, it's still a problem. And there's still a bunch of countries where people can't see it. So,
yeah. Anyways. Yeah, so at least some people get it. So that's very good news for them. Yeah. That's awesome. So
let's start.
Okay, next news. Now, I don't know if you guys remember back when we were on the line and whatnot, and they announced the line was the podcast that we did on Trek FM where we covered season 1 of Star Trek Picard. And I saw the clip when I was at work when Patrick Stewart asked Whoopi Goldberg to be on season 2. And I literally jumped up in my chair at work with my hands in the air. I didn't yell out yes, but I did say it. And then I sat back in my seat and proceeded to weep with joy because I love Guinan. Guinan is like my favorite character on Next Generation. And I love the dynamic that Guinan has with Picard. And I think it is such a underutilized story. I want more. And so every time we get any type of history in the novels, I love it. Whether it's true or not, it's still wonderful stuff to have. And we had heard that Guinan was coming, but we haven't heard a lot of it since that announcement, since Patrick Stewart asked her, Whoopi Goldberg, on the show. What was the show that she did?
The View.
The View, I think it was,
The View. Yeah. No, the line was us.
Whoopi, Patrick Stewart appeared with Whoopi Goldberg on the line to make that announcement. Yeah.
Oh, it was awesome. Our most downloaded episode. However, Michelle Hurd has recently confirmed that Whoopi Goldberg's been on the show and she's had a chance to work with her. Yeah. So I'm super excited with this. This is our first confirmation that Whoopi Goldberg's coming. And, we'd been talking about this, and Whoopi Goldberg was recently in The Stand, right? And The Stand wasn't very good. They didn't do a very good job on that show. It wasn't very good. But she did a good job as Mother Abigail. But it's going to be great to see her. I'm so looking forward to seeing Guinan come back. Chrissy, how do you feel about this?
Oh, yes. I'm hoping we get the Picard Guinan story, or at least more of it. Over the weekend, while my sister and I were working on dinner stuff for this side of the family Thanksgiving that we had yesterday, we're like, okay, well, we'll just toss some Next Gen on, and I turned on Time's Arrow because the next Coda book is coming out on Tuesday, and that's related.
There's a connection to that.
I don't want to say. Yeah, I'm not like. At what point are we the spoiler? Because that's not a huge spoiler, but so
everybody dies.
Everybody dies. Everybody died in Time's Arrow, and we just didn't know. No, and I was talking with my sister about this, about how that you can really take their conversation about their relationship in a lot of ways. And even as much of a dirty mind as I can have, I do not see them as having been lovers, and I really hope that they aren't. So I want to know more. How did they meet? What was the relationship? Tell me it was platonic. Yeah.
Yeah, I also don't want to see them having a romantic relationship.
No.
I just don't see them as that. I don't want to see them as that. I just see this deep friendship that has passed generations upon generations. You know. Justin, how do you feel about this?
Oh, I'm really excited about this. I mean, when we talked about it on the line way back when, Guinan's one of my favorite characters in TNG and in Star Trek. Might be my wife's favorite character in Star Trek. She loves Guinan. So I think we're both really excited about this. And yeah, we had heard from that announcement back in early 2020 and hadn't heard much since then. And now Michelle Hurd is telling us, hey, it was great to work with her. And you guys talk about Picard and Guinan, and I'd love to see more about that. We've gotten some background in the novels, but not too much in TNG, except for Time's Arrow about like their connection. I think it'll just be the matter of a deep friendship, and I'm excited about that. But I would also like, since John Delancey is in this thing as Q, to find out what the history is between Guinan and Q, because in Q Who, like, they're these adversaries, and Q is really suspicious of Guinan. Like, what is going on with that? I really want that to be explored in Picard season 2. So yeah, this was exciting just to get this confirmation. Yes, it is definitely happening. So I'm so excited for that season to get Guinan and Q and all kinds of time travel stuff. Like, I'm in heaven with like all this stuff that I love about Star Trek and TNG. Yeah. And it's just a couple months.
I think with this being like so messed up timeline and whatnot, like I can't wait until we see like the WWF showdown between the 3-way match between Guinan and Q and Mark Twain. Like, that's going to be awesome. Okay. Like, it's going to be so good.
Yeah.
Find out that Mark Twain was Trelane in disguise or something, maybe. Because I thought you were going to say Trelane. I don't know.
Trelane.
Mark
maybe it's
Trelane.
Like a Tuvix thing,
go.
Mark Trelane, yeah. No, yeah. I think there's going to be some wild stuff in this season. I'm all here for it. So bring it on.
See,
we get the Borg Queen, too. Yeah.
I think that Mark Twain, like, it's all connected. That he's actually Deep Throat from the X-Files, right? Because it's the same
that's
actor
true,
who found time travel technology from the aliens and went back into the past. And then we find out that the Greys are really the Davidians. You know, like, it's all connected, right? So
that's why he wrote Connecticut
amazing.
I love it. So
perfect. Anyway, yes, very, very exciting.
Do we know for sure she's in season 2, or because I know they're filming season 3, aren't they?
They are, but Michelle Hurd had already talked about working with her, and they finished season 2, and they've just started, I think, parts of season 3. So I think it's likely based on that. And I think in the context with the Trek movie article, they did say that she was specifically talking about season 2. So I have to think that's when it's coming. Okay. Yeah.
No, I'm just making sure, because like if she tweeted it out a week and a half ago, that she's currently, not that she couldn't be in both season 2 and 3.
Yeah. So. But how amazing is it right now that we're like, let's talk about what season this might be, because they're doing like 2 seasons back to back. Like, that's incredible to me. That's like, I'm not sure what season this is in. So, yeah.
See, they're calling it season 2 and 3, but back when I was a young lad, they would just do 20 episodes in a season.
You think it's really going to be a 20 episode season 2?
Like Prodigy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe.
Probably not. But anyway, it's exciting.
Get off my lawn.
Anyways.
Yeah, a bunch of old people here. Yep.
Okay, so we jump in the episode. Anything else we got to say here? Wait, there's one more news. There's one more news here.
One small bit, yeah.
Yeah.
So Prodigy will begin airing on Nickelodeon starting on December 17th. So that's, I don't have that channel. You guys have that channel?
Do at my mother-in-law's house because she has cable. Yeah.
There you go.
But I mean, I think we knew eventually it would be on Nickelodeon, but I think the interesting thing is I think they've just confirmed for the pilot episode, so I'm not sure if they'll do that as a teaser to try to push them to Paramount Plus or wherever else.
Continue on CBS All Access.
It's Paramount Plus now. But yeah. But I mean, it's good. I mean, there are, families that watch that channel that might not be watching stuff on Paramount Plus that'll be exposed to it, so it gets more people to watch it, which is good.
Yeah. I only dropped that in because I had asked, it was either last week or the week before, if we had heard when it was going to air. So
they heard you.
Yeah, I guess.
Like, Chrissy, this is for you.
Hey, Chrissy, here you go.
Yeah, thanks.
Yes.
Anywho. All right. Okay, let's jump into our discussion on Anomaly. And no, I'm not going to make the joke that's obvious. I did not watch the Enterprise episode. Okay?
But you just implicitly made that joke. That's okay, though. But yes.
I can't help myself.
Same title.
I'm sorry. I can't help myself. Okay, so first impression.
Are you okay?
First impressions.
Do you need to like talk professionally with us here?
I just can't stop making bad jokes to other episode titles. I just have to do it every time.
We forgive you,
Chrissy.
Yes.
Initial thoughts, first impressions.
Two things came to me as I was watching this, and it's really not just this episode, but the whole culmination of it, of that idea that it's easier for people to move backward in time than forward. And I'm trying to think, there was a novel where I know what it was. It was the novel with the right after Generations with the crew, with the Kelsey Grammer crew.
You're talking about Ship of the Line?
Ship of the Line.
Ship of the Line, yeah. There's discussion in there about how it's easier to move backward than forward because you kind of have an idea of what is, if not what's going to happen in like a prescient way because you remember it as your own history, but just generally how the society functions, and you can work in that. And of course, they've moved forward, and as the saying goes, the past is a foreign country, and the future is really a foreign country because you have no, or virtually no context. So I think we're really dealing with them. I know we've dealt with them having jumped forward before, but I think we're actually going to get into some of the interpersonal issues. Getting to Tilly really is what I was thinking in that context. And that whole question of nobody has really dealt with this, at least that we've seen, you know? So yeah. And I think we're getting into another more analogy territory, which is where Star Trek is at its best, for sure. I kind of feel like, particularly with the Tilly thing, this is a bit of an analogy for post-COVID or post-lockdown. Like, we're coming out of this and things should be the same, but they're not. And we don't know what to do with it.
Interesting. Justin, what do you think?
Well, I really love this episode. I did have a chance to watch it twice since we're not recording on Thursday, but recording on Sunday. And there was a lot that was going on in this episode that really connected for me. I mean, you mentioned, Chrissy, about kind of the COVID analogy. I don't see it as something like post-COVID. I see it as COVID or like a pandemic in progress because they have this gravitational anomaly. They don't know what to make of it. It's very destructive. They need more data. It turns out, which I think is a real gut punch at the end of the episode, that basically the data they've gathered won't help them at all because now it's changing direction, which feels like it's talking about, different variants or things that happen. So, and there's, one of the things that I really connected with that we didn't have a chance to, I didn't think of it this way, but on Mike Wong's Strange New Worlds podcast, one of his friends, De Sonoco, who's a historian, talked about how that episode was about disorientation, like in every part of that episode. And I felt that here as well. And I put something on the outline: uncertainty, disorientation, and loss. They're uncertain what's going to happen. They're feeling really disoriented about what to do, and there is a lot of loss that's going on. So I really connected that, and it felt like what we've had to deal with in this pandemic, where a lot of stuff is really uncertain. There's a lot that we're not sure what to do about or when we can do certain things or not. And there's a lot of loss that's happened, unfortunately. So I really connected to it for that. Also, I think there's a lot of really great character moments in this episode. And in particular, one of the things that really shone through is Culber's kind of new role as like a counselor. Like, people are coming to talk to him, and he is this great, wonderful presence. I just love him in that role that he did for Tilly and for Stamets, and also Saru coming in also kind of as that presence of like wisdom and perspective. And there was just like so much that was going on outside of the action, which I liked, but there was just like a lot of really great character stuff, a lot I could relate to like in my own life. So I loved it. I mean, it's probably one of my favorite Discovery episodes, actually.
I love how you said that about it's the middle of the the pandemic rather than post. And that's what it is. I hadn't thought of it in that way, which there's a whole other interesting psychological line we can go down, but we're not going to.
Yeah, because the anomaly is like there's this destructive thing. We have no idea where it's going to go, what it is, how it's going to affect our lives, but we need to do something. We need to get more data, right? Which is like getting more scientific, which can take time, right? It's not like immediate. And that's one of the things I really liked about this episode. It wasn't like immediate, like, okay, we got that data. We know exactly what's going on, because that's what's really happened within the pandemic. Like, this thing is happening. We might not know for weeks or months based on the science and the studies and the trials and all of that, what to do. And that leads to so much uncertainty in your life. So I really liked it as like I didn't feel like it was an analogy that was like beating me over the head, but I felt like I could understand it living through these times, which makes me think about someone watching it in, I don't know, 20 years and what they'll make of it. But anyway, Brandon, what did you think?
I thought this episode was fantastic. I really loved this episode. It was quite action. There was a lot of action in the episode, but some of the stuff that I thought was the best in it was a lot of the personal moments. And, you know, how many times have I told you guys about Mindhunter and season 4 of The Walking Dead, and when, you know, you get characters on their own and you get these scenes with them. We had a lot of dialogue in this episode. I love watching people talk. I love people talking to each other on television. You know, Mindhunter is big, long scenes of people just sitting there talking to each other. And I love watching that. And while a lot of people may not like that, like I've got some friends who are like, this is way too melodramatic, this episode. I don't know. I loved it. Like we'll go over it, but the visual cues of Book going through his trauma, like, were really, I thought, really well done. And I don't know, man, this episode was fantastic, and it was firing on all cylinders for me, you know. So I loved it.
Right, great.
That's where I start from here. Good
place to start.
Yeah. So let's just jump right into that with Book and the Destruction of Quajon. I mean, you know, I just said how much I loved that, with seeing his nephew going through and watching him, you know, like, deal with this loss and kind of put it together, because this is a big loss to him. And the one of my favorite sequences in the episode was when Book asked Burnham to go and talk in her captain's chamber thing. And he says to her, like, he wants to take the ship, and he wants to go to get the information because he wants to be involved. He wants to help out. And he says, I don't need your permission. I'm not Starfleet. Technically, I'm not even under your command. Like, you know, it's an interesting position for her to be in. Like, she has no authority over him. She has none. So to see him stand up to her with that, like, it's a tough position that she's in, right? And while I didn't appreciate him being involved in the mission last week, I appreciated this kind of situation that the two of them were in, because I can see that Burnham wants to make the call that, no, you are absolutely, I don't know if corrupted is the right word I'm looking for, but you are not able to handle this. You are completely corrupted by what's happened to you and your planet being destroyed. But I don't have the authority to tell you to not go. Right. You know? Yeah. So I kind of like seeing that a lot. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, that was really wonderful. And I do really like how it was kind of like a contrast to last week's episode, where, you know, Book comes along and it's like, oh yeah, let's have him help with this empathy thing or whatever. But for this, you know, she can tell, like, this probably isn't going to be good, but there's not much that I can do to prevent you from doing this. And one things I wanted to say is to maybe contrast what happens in this episode with Book a little bit with what happened with Detmer last season, where I know, like, you know, she was kind of going through this trauma of coming to the future, and she had this adventure and she celebrated and everything was fine, right? Which there probably should have been more to it, right? But that's not what happened in this episode. What I really liked is that he went on the mission because, you know, what can you do to prevent him? And he's the most qualified person, right? But he's still dealing with the trauma. And when he comes back from having achieved what he thinks is a big breakthrough, he's not celebrating in the mess hall. He's not exuberant about it. He's somber and contemplative, and really still going through that loss. The thing that I'm interested in for next week is how does he react when he's gone through all of that and it seems like it's for nothing? I think that's just fascinating to think about. Yeah.
I don't know that it's going to be all for nothing, though, because, like, while at the end of the episode they say that it's changed direction, like, I'm sure that they're going to find a pattern in this somewhere. Right? While it may not look like there's a pattern now,
okay, let me say
it's
possible they will, but that's going to take some time. And I'm sure right off of that, the initial reaction will be like, this hasn't helped us at all. But yeah, they did gather a lot of data. Maybe they'll find something within it, but they're not getting what they thought they would, which is, okay, let's have a warning for it's headed toward here and we can evacuate this place. But if it can change direction based on what's happening, then they can't predict, what's going on. But yeah, that's true. They could find something later.
Yeah.
Chrissie?
I think the way he's acting makes perfect sense. He's had this terrible trauma. He doesn't know how to deal with it because nobody knows how to deal with that because it's just not something that happens,
Yeah,
even in that century.
Who on Earth right now would be prepared for our planet being destroyed and maybe I'm the only survivor because somebody takes me away on a spaceship? Like, there is no way you could be prepared for that.
No.
Right? Even though when you think about Book, he does know about other planets. There's this other community he's part of, but that's a devastating loss. Like, I mean, it's not surprising he just can't even talk for days,
Yeah.
The only comparable thing that we have is Spock in the Kelvin timeline.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking of. Him losing his
and then
because
that
Nero
goes one way, or Nero. I was just going to say that goes one way, and then we got Nero going the other way.
Yeah.
So,
Actually, that's a place where history can be helpful. If anyone, he could read the what was written by Romulans after the fact, what was left of them.
Oh, I guess so. Yeah.
That would be interesting, actually.
I'm sure they won't go there, but because that's not where they're going.
But
with
that's quite a loss, and I like that they're taking some time with it. It's not like one mission, woohoo, I'm great. He's still quite subdued and somber and sad about the whole thing. Yeah.
I predict a scene between Burnham's mom and him, and she giving him some sage advice on the Romulans.
Oh, do you mean that's because the next episode is called Choose to Live?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. We're going to see her mom next.
I think probably.
I think so too, yeah.
Right.
Saru's experience of leaving Kaminar and never expecting to return. There is a very vague connection there, but it's one that I think they could use for a bit of story point if he were trying to be sympathetic to Book, and then Book can turn around and just go, well, you ended up being able to go home, so that doesn't work. I don't know if they'll have that kind of a connection or not, but that was the first thing I thought of other than Spock and the Kelvin timeline.
Excellent. Anything else on that topic?
No, just very interested to see what'll happen. Go ahead.
Less serious. Did anybody think of the Get Smart cone of silence when she had the private channel?
I didn't think of it at the time, but when I saw somebody post about that, yes.
Oh, I didn't see that anybody posted. Okay.
Yeah, but I do think that's cool, and it makes sense. There's kind of like this private channel. I think we've had occasionally things like that in the novels where somebody can touch a device or something and the area around them makes it private or soundproof or whatever. But it was cool to see that here. Yeah. The cone of silence. Yeah.
Cone of silence. Okay, let's move on to our next one here, and this is Stamets and Book working together. Justin, I'll start with you this time.
Yeah, this was really interesting because basically Book and Stamets haven't worked much together before, and they're the only ones apparently that can run the spore drive since Quajon is destroyed. So that's a lot. But I thought that it was very interesting to see and Book kind of maybe get a bit to the heart of things in this conversation that they had. Where Stamets eventually says it reminded him of how helpless he was because Book saved his family. There's nothing he could do for his family, being Culber and Adira. So I thought that was quite interesting, and I was looking forward to that because they didn't really have much interaction in season 3. So I really like that. I know it was in the midst of action and some people didn't like that, but I will take character development in the midst of action instead of just action with no character development within it. So that's all I'll say about that. But what did you think about this, Chrissy, with Stamets and Book working together?
I think there's a very interesting two personalities who are very much alike, and so they clash. Both very much loners before we meet them. Stamets... Okay. You get the impression like he had Hugh, and he seemed to be friendly-ish with the guy that he was doing the work on the spore drive with. I can't remember his name. The one that was on the other ship. I know
who you mean.
Yeah. The one who was like, you have a lurker behind you. But the
one who I forget his last name, but I do remember in the comics he gets the first name Justin, so I'm very happy about that.
Oh, okay.
Still have yet to have a canonical Justin in on-screen Star Trek, but that's anyway, true. I forget what his name is.
So I think there's, even without the circumstances around that, even without the issue of running into each other in terms of using the spore drive, and that issue of Stamets feeling like he's not as important anymore. It's very important to Stamets to be important.
Hold on. Last name is Strahl.
Strahl. Okay, there we go. Dr. Strahl. Cool. So that guy. So I think like Stamets had two friends in his life, and it feels like Book had none, maybe. Or he knew a lot of people, but they were not friends. Except for Greg.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah, and they both are dealing with this guilt over not being able to protect their loved ones, and Stamets is dealing with the guilt knowing that somebody else stepped into that role. Even though there's nothing wrong with that, he was not capable of doing that at that time, and he shouldn't feel guilty about it. And Book is dealing with, there was no way to protect them, but he still feels like he should have, and again, there's no way he could have, and there's nothing wrong with that. So they're both dealing with a lot of the same stuff, and I think that's going to cause friction.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just looking forward to seeing more with them. I think it's really interesting.
Me too.
So, I haven't liked Stamets for a while now. I haven't been liking Stamets as a character. And, I mean, it kind of started last season when he was going through the trauma of having Hugh make the decision to go onto the asteroid, whatever it is, like the dilithium planet and whatnot.
Oh, yeah.
And Hugh's reaction to that. And I don't think I mentioned it during season 3, but that whole little plot line, that whole storyline didn't work for me. Now, I can understand the situation that he's in, but to me, it didn't work for me seeing him have such a freak out over losing Hugh. Now, I know that they're together, and the freak out is also losing Adira and whatnot, and he's kind of still freaking out over this. You know, like even last episode when something happened with Adira, and in the middle of the crisis, he's like, well, what about Adira? Oh, and the other people too. And it's like, to me, it's a very unprofessional attitude. And it's not working for me out of him.
Interesting.
And so I'm trying to deal with this. And I don't know, like in this episode here, I just thought he's being his regular dickish shelf that he's been for the last little while, you know? And so like this didn't quite work for me. So I'm hoping to see some growth here now that he's talked about, look, this is my problem. My problem is that I couldn't do anything to save my family and you saved them for me. Right?
Yeah, but I think he does have some growth in this episode where at the end of it, he does thank him for saving his family, and they're going to work it out, and they make a little bit of a connection. Now, Stamets is an interesting character because, you know, I think when you first introduced to him in season 1, episode 3, he's very abrasive and kind of off-putting to people. And he's kind of gone back a little back and forth with that. But I mean, Stamets isn't my favorite character, but I think I've grown to like him more and appreciate some of what he's going through that leads to that. But I feel like they do still need some more explanation for that. Yeah.
It was interesting. I remember when I was on The Edge, which was the other Trek FM podcast on Discovery, And we got to episode 3, and I'm like, man, this is weird seeing Stamets as a character, because leading up into that, there had been like, well, I don't think I interacted directly with him on Twitter. I saw him interacting with a lot of people, and seeing such a positive interaction from this person,
Yes.
to then see him on this show, and I'm like,
The magic
F
of acting.
you, man. Like, I don't like you at all. So it was a very abrasive introduction to the character right at the beginning. But I mean, I've never really warmed to the Stamets character. You know, like, here we are 4 seasons in, and he's just, you know, I don't know. So like, I'm hoping to see something different here. But I mean, even at the end of last season, like, I was hoping that we would have had more conflict between him and Burnham, and I'm just not seeing that either because of the decision that she made. You know, I'm just not seeing that conflict and him dealing with the ramifications of what she did to him.
Yeah, I had thought about that, and I mean, it must be they've worked things out in the last 5 months, and maybe we'll get something in a novel. I mean, I had expected maybe a bit more of that, but I think because of the kind of amount of time that has elapsed since the end of season 3, I mean, there might have been enough time to work through that. Still making an awkward joke about it, which I appreciated, but yeah, I had expected more, but I had also not expected there would be like a 5-month gap. So
yeah, see, like, I guess what I would have liked to have seen, and this is all just this is just wishes. If wishes were horses, then beggars would ride, right? You know, like, and this will lead into another topic later on. Actually, our next topic. I don't know. I can do a slight transition here, but I almost would have liked to have seen like some grander scale to the story, and maybe what we got with Mayweather in the novels, where, you know, like, what happened to the Kobayashi Maru test in the Enterprise novels led to Mayweather leaving the Enterprise because he just couldn't work with Archer anymore. I would have liked to have seen maybe that, and Stamets go somewhere else for a little while to deal with it. You know, and that leads me to like our transitioning into our next topic and kind of mushing them together would be Saru's return, right? Because like I had said, like, I would love to see Saru away from the ship for a while and working on something diplomatic wise, seeing his growth in a completely different area, because I think he's going to be a stellar, you know, person of diplomacy, a stellar diplomat. And so I was a little disappointed on one hand to see him come back so quickly and to fall into this role of first officer again, because I was looking forward to watching Tilly be the first officer some more, because I enjoyed that aspect of her last season. You know, like, so this is all like wishes of what I didn't get, but I mean, this is kind of where I'm at right now, you know, because I think like adding on to that topic, like, I think Tilly really did a good job in this episode, especially dealing with Adira.
yeah,
You know, and while she may have thought she was Stametsing or whatnot, like that whole scene with her and Adira was fantastic. Right? Where like Adira's clearly not ready for the pressure that's going on the bridge, for this catastrophe that's happening on the bridge. But, you know, Tilly as a person of leadership and the character who has grown over 4 seasons, that was a wonderful, wonderful moment for her. So I don't know, like, so I'm sorry, I kind of brushed over 1,000 topics right over there.
You're fine.
But the main topic was going back to, Stamets and wanting to see a certain kind of growth from him, and then we got Saru's return and my kind of disappointment in seeing Saru return on the ship.
Yeah, I think it's interesting you feel that way. Yeah, I would have liked more on Kaminar, but I loved having him back on the ship. I mean, I think Saru is such a wonderful presence, and he has grown so much and has so much wisdom within him. And I feel like in this episode, he was a very centered character, right? Like, this is not someone that is ruled by fear in any way. He is very much, you know, using his wisdom, and I love that. And I think since it was set up that he would kind of still have a leadership position on Kaminar while also on the ship, I think it may go back and forth a little bit, but I love that, having him back, and having him as first officer I think is very interesting. Now, I know that Tilly was the first officer for a short time in season 3 when Saru appointed her to that, but, and I'm sure we'll talk about this more later, Tilly has some uncertainty about where she's going or what she wants to do. So it's quite possible that she might have thought, you know what, this might be something I want to set aside because I'm really uncertain about this. So I might have liked it to go some different directions, but I actually love the direction it went because it's just so wonderful to see Saru interact with these characters, kind of giving counsel to Burnham and to just being this presence that, I mean, it feels like he is much older than he is because it feels like he has just a lot of like wisdom and grace about him, and I love that. But Chrissie, what did you think?
The scene where he and Burnham are talking about him being the first officer, it immediately brought to mind the scene in Wrath of Khan when Kirk is saying, the ship is yours. It's not, and Spock says, no, the ship is yours. You have, he's the ranking officer, and Kirk tries to pull back from it, and he says, no, you're working from a false assumption. I have no ego to bruise. And that is exactly the feeling I got from Saru. Just that I know where I'm most useful. I know where you are most useful, maybe better than you do. And we'll work from there. But he is becoming very Spock-like, if you ask me.
I could totally
which is an
see
interesting thing considering Michael's background. So
yes, yeah.
So are we gonna call him Spock-Ru
Spock-Ru?
or Sack?
Mr.
Definitely
Saru will
Spock-Ru.
do.
Yeah.
Spock-Ru.
Yeah. Before we get too far past it, you had mentioned about Stamets being the first thing on his mind was asking about Adira and if Adira was okay, and then asking if anyone else. And I have been trying to think, actually, since you mentioned it, if we see that anywhere else, like I don't think we even see Dr. Crusher doing that with Wesley. We see
what?
her just in the context of like her son is in a situation as this person he considers his child is in a situation, and there's other people involved, but that's the first one you ask about. There's a lot of times where Beverly is like in Justice, is, do this thing, take care of this for my son, but I don't remember him being in a situation where the first thing she asks is like, is Wesley okay? And then is everybody else okay? So I just think that's interesting because we have that is a good parallel there. And I don't think we have any other that are equally paralleled. Because we don't see Jake getting into kind of those kind of situations. So,
well, I mean, the only other time I think would be like when Sisko left and realized that Jake stayed behind at the end of season 5.
Oh yeah,
and Sisko was livid.
Yeah,
right.
Oh,
but
yeah.
he's like, I can't go back for him. Right. He's like, I got to go on. But it's just like I understand that like it's one of those things where it's like, yes, I understand that not everybody would be the same. But it just doesn't work for me coming out of Stamets. And maybe it's the fact that I think Stamets is such an asshole that when caring comes out of him, it feels false.
Oh,
it
that's
really,
interesting.
truly feels false coming from him.
Okay.
And so it's just not working for me coming from Stamets. Maybe with Burnham, I get the caring for Book.
Yeah.
I like the relationship between Burnham and Book. I think they're good together. I really like them together. And, that scene when she goes into that private chamber and is talking to him and she's like, hey, Book. Like, I felt it. I really felt it.
Yeah.
Okay. And like, this is the first time I've really like felt something really super good out of Burnham. Like, cause I haven't really liked her, but as I said last week, I'm looking forward to a growth on this guy. I'm looking at this character with new eyes now, but it just feels false coming from Stamets. And maybe it's just, what's his name? What's the actor's name? I'm drawing a blank here.
Anthony
Maybe it's
Rapp.
just Anthony Rapp.
Rapp.
As an actor, maybe it's the dialogue. I don't know, but it's just ringing a false note for me.
Okay.
That's pretty interesting. I can understand that. For me, I did feel that it was genuine, but I still feel like Anthony Rapp is playing it as if there's still something he's holding back. So it kind of worked for me.
Okay. I was going to say, I was looking at that from, I thought you were, I know you were, because you said you weren't feeling it with him saying that, but also I guess I was thinking of it in terms of professionalism and the whole issue of
there's that too. There is
children
that too.
working with their parents and vice versa. So that's where I went with it. But yeah, I actually, No, because he is that concerned about Hugh, but there's the dynamic's different there. Because he benefits from that relationship in material ways, as much as anybody has anything material in the 32nd century. But it's different than the relationship with Adira. So, yeah. Something to ponder on. I didn't mean to start out an open-ended conversation here, but...
No. So let me add something to something that happened last year, and I don't think I said this in season 3 when we talked about it. So when Stamets was reacting to what Burnham was making him do.
Yeah.
So the scene when Burnham threw him in that escape pod.
No.
I felt that scene. Mm-hmm. Okay, I totally felt it. The scene before that, when he's with Hugh and he's getting mad at Hugh for making the decision to do his job, I didn't like. And the scene after, when he's making a big stink to the Admiral, and the Admiral's like, dude, you can't do this. You can't go. We got too much going on. And how he was reacting there didn't work for me. Right? And then the note where he's like, oh, is Adira okay? And Tilly. Like, that didn't work for me either, you know? Like, so, like, it's this fine narrow line of what's working for me and what's not working for me, you know?
Okay.
So
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Anyways. No, I mean, I can see where you're coming from. It's just interesting. Yeah.
So, if we could go back to Saru, there was something I wanted to bring up.
Oh, yeah, I wanted to... Before we lost Stamets there, too.
No, that's fine. Yeah, I wanted to bring up something, and it actually came up in this episode, but after episode 1, I got a message from listener Rebecca Skipper about Saru and really kind of liking what he was doing, and I just wanted to read what she said here and pose it to you guys. I'd like to see Saru have his own command. I feel he should be the captain of another ship. It would be neat to have 2 different crews in Disco. I'd like to pose this question to the podcast. Would you like to see Saru have his own ship and crew and have 2 crews? So we did find out in this episode he was offered command of a ship that he's saying, not right now.
Yeah.
But I mean, I might know the answer for you, Brandon, because you still want him on Kaminar doing diplomatic stuff. But for me personally, I've for a long time wanted a Star Trek show that follows 2 ships working together, like throughout a season or something like that. So I'd love to see that. But let me maybe ask Chrissie, is that something you would like to see Saru as the captain of another ship and working together with Discovery on this thing because one ship isn't enough for it?
Yeah, I mean, it's not something I've specifically looked for, but I wouldn't hate it. No, that sounds a lot less enthusiastic than I mean. But.
So he's the one that's ready for captaining the Voyager J.
Yeah, let's do that. That allows for some other character growth. It allows for the telling of more stories, like the Brandon and I always talk about Walking Dead, where you have these situations where you have different people in different places, and you're only dealing with whatever is in front of them. You're not jumping back and forth. So I think that would be interesting. I think they would have to have longer seasons. I don't think they would have to create stories that would fit better in that shorter season on 2 different, because you would be dealing with probably 2 stories that would come together at the end, or one story that splits at some point. So
okay,
but yeah, I think that's fun.
What do you think, Brandon?
So I didn't like the fact that they took Discovery away from Saru, okay? Because I thought Saru was doing a great job as a captain, okay? But I realized that this is the Burnham show, so...
Well, did they take it away from him, or did he decide to step back after
he
what
decided,
happened?
But the writers took it away from him, okay? Like, the writers took it away from him. Because I thought he was doing a fine job as a captain. And so when they did that, it opened up this idea of like, man, let's see this character do something completely different. Because you know what? We've never done that in Star Trek before. And so that's why I'm like, oh, this is going to be fantastic. Okay. And you just made the thing, but I actually had written it down here. I'm like, this is my prediction. Okay. Now that Saru is back now as the first officer now, the fact that he says, I would gladly return to the chair one day, this is not that time. Okay. with what happened last week, he is absolutely going to be captain of the Voyager J by the end of the season. You made a joke on that, but that is absolutely what's going to be happening.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know. I would put billions of dollars on that bet. Okay, like
it's going to be hard to collect that. Let's have an amount of money that you actually possess. But yeah, no, I mean, I could totally. Yeah, I did note that as well. Like, but maybe one day, and oftentimes in writing that means. Put a pin in that. We're going to come back to that. So.
Put a pin in that. As when Riker says, there is that one clause that could call me back at any time, right?
Right. And I think at the time I predicted, like, okay, yeah, that means he's coming back.
Well, you can.
And I was still holding out for Worf on that one. And so now that I've seen that, I'm like, absolutely, Saru will be in captain. And so, would I like to see 2 ships? Absolutely. Okay. How many times do I keep talking about The Walking Dead, where it's like we follow this person for an episode, we follow this person for an episode, have 2 ships with some grand adventure? I don't think it would be hard to write that. Walking Dead is only 16 episodes a season. Yeah. This is 13.
I think they could do it. Or it could be this week we're following Discovery and they get this piece of the puzzle. This week we follow Voyager J. They get this piece of the puzzle. They talk with each other and, stitch it together. I just think it would be fascinating. And I think I've wanted that ever since, an Enterprise season 4 where you get to see Columbia and Enterprise work together for like 2 episodes. But I'm like, man, I would have loved this for the whole season. Just 2 ships going out there, seeing what the heck is going on. But thank you to listener Rebecca Skipper for bringing that up, because it's led to Brandon's prediction where I might collect billions of dollars. So.
You will not. I will collect billions of dollars from you in Monopoly money.
So,
anyways, yes, I would love to see that. Okay. But I mean, I mourn the loss of the story that I had in my head of seeing Saru be a diplomat on this side thing going on, because we just have not seen anything like that in Star Trek.
Not as much.
It would have been so original and fresh.
But we'll see, because I think they have left it open a little bit, because he is still this council member. I was actually surprised he was a council member in his village. I thought before he was like some planetary council member or something, but he still has some leadership position there.
Well, his village could be considerably larger as a concept. He could be saying his village, and that's the capital city.
Oh, good point.
I kind of read that as a village as planet, kind of the
By the way, I love his symbol that he has on his uniform.
All I'm going to say is that little area that they had sure looked like the Gungan capital, meeting place to me. So
yeah.
Anyways,
you're not wrong.
And that's okay. Okay,
darker.
So Culber, yes, darker. Culber is counselor. So Culber is taking on a new role here, and I think we knew that this was coming. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I think that we saw beginnings of this last season with his character, and we're starting to see it here. And I think this is going to be a good role for Culber. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking forward to seeing where this is going to go. I think this is going to be a really interesting thing. And this is good. Let's get some change in here. It's interesting. You know what? Now that we've got these actors for 3 years, we can kind of see what they can do. You know what? Let's maybe take their characters in new directions that we didn't know that they could go, because we've only had them for a few episodes. We've only had them for 39 episodes, right? Mm-hmm. This is a season, well, probably 40 or whatever the number is.
It's a bit more than that, but yeah.
This is a season and a half worth of Star Trek that we've had them so far. Okay? Mm-hmm. Timeline-wise, I was actually thinking this in my head. Timeline-wise, based on the release date, this is actually the start of the 6th season. If they were doing it in the old way, I was just actually thinking about this the old, right? But, episode-wise, we've only had them
It's only been 4 years since the premiere.
If you think about it, okay, so Voyager started in January, right? So if we have January of 17, right, is when when Discovery started, then 17, 18, 18, 19, 19, 20, 20, 21, 21, 22. Yeah. This would be timeline-wise, this is season 6-wise, for length of time. Right?
Okay,
but
yes.
We obviously don't have
for those 2 shows, Voyager and Deep Space Nine, where they basically had an extra season as half a year. Okay.
And Next Gen and everything like that. So
you could say season 5 then.
Okay, well, fine.
But even still,
yeah. But we've been with them. Yeah, but we've been with them for a little while, and it's
that tidbit is no different than your tidbit in Coda, where you're like, "Hey, look at this fancy thing where Picard was the only person who was a captain originally." It's just like a weird little tangent that you find interesting.
Yes. Okay, yes, it is very interesting.
Nobody negated that. It is.
It is very interesting.
I hadn't thought of it that way.
But yeah, I just want to say I love what we see of Culber, and even just his openness to talking to Tilly and just like putting her totally at ease and being like, yes, if you have something going on, please, let's talk about it sometimes. I just love his manner, and the way that Wilson Cruz plays it, it feels genuine to me. Like this is like, in a way, it's kind of an outgrowth of his caring as a doctor, as a physician, like caring for people's well-being and health, and as an outgrowth of that, their mental health and counseling them. And I thought it was beautiful. I loved seeing him in that, and I definitely want to see more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna put a pin in this, okay, because I got to get this off my chest. Okay, listeners, there's a specific reason why I was thinking about the 6th season of Voyager. Okay. And it's because of some of the stuff that I've heard has been going on online a little bit. Okay. With Discovery particularly, and a lot of the attitudes that, like, from some of the trolls on Tilly. Right.
Okay.
And her weight. By this point of Voyager, both Neelix and Tom Paris had gained a significant amount of weight, and nothing was ever said about them because they're men.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And so it's frustrating, and shame on those people out there, and they need to get that off since we're talking about this.
No, that's
anywho
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, yes. I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
Anyways, go ahead, Chrissy. Talk about your Culber.
No, I before I do that, I think I really appreciate having somebody who's not a stick in those uniforms. Being a not stick person myself,
it's an important part of diversity that Star Trek has not as much explored before.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. And along with that diversity, I can connect these things.
Okay,
I really appreciate the fact that a counselor is being used for counseling. That we are actually going to be dealing with people who have issues like depression and anxiety, even if we're not going to necessarily call it that. But I think we can definitely say that Tilly has anxiety. Adira has anxiety, even if it is situational and natural. Anxiety in and of itself is not an unnatural or bad thing. But I mean, we had the counselor introduced on the Enterprise D, but the only time we ever saw her doing any counseling, any psychiatry, which was her degree, it was for a short time within the context of a story. It was Barclay, or it was there was when she lost her powers and she snapped at that woman who was trying to get some counseling, and that's it.
Yeah, I think so. I'll say that they could have used her more that way, but I kind of like what our fellow UFP podcaster Amy Nelson likes to say, that one of Troy's primary things is to actually be a counselor for Picard, to counsel him in decisions. But yes, this is being done a different way than that.
Yeah, it's just the way she was presented versus what she actually ended up. And I think if she had just been a counselor in that sense from the get-go, that would have been better, but that's a whole other thing. Long story short, I'm glad to see that if Prozac is still a thing in the 32nd century, there are people who need it.
Yeah, I think
as somebody who takes it, so yeah.
And I think this may transition to talking about Tilly, but I think Tilly does have anxiety, but I think she also is at a place in her life or her career where she has a lot of uncertainty where she wants to go. We haven't gotten kind of the full story with how she feels about it, but I think I had mentioned after we talked about episode 1, like I was rewatching last week's episode and I thought, wow, there's some things are dropping here for Tilly that she wants to talk about something. There's some uncertainty, something that she needs some help on in direction. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what that is, because I'm not quite sure where it's going. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
It may be that she has these questions and what she originally wanted is reaffirmed too.
Could be, yeah.
Which I think would be a good way to go with that, because there are times in life that we question things and we step back and go, okay, is this really what I want to be doing? And then explore other ways of living, other things that you might do with your life, either, in your imagination or in an actual sense.
Definitely.
And then you come back to where you were and you're stronger for it. So
I have a weekly conversation with myself whether I should still be working at the job that I'm working at. And at the end of the week, I'm usually like, yeah, I guess it's worth it. Let's keep going.
Okay.
but I can understand that feeling like, okay, this is what, but I mean, I think it's a little different with Tilly, because I think she does love doing, the science aspects. She has, I think, some enjoyment from that, but there's something going on. I'm just interested to see what it is because I can't predict it. I'm not sure what it is. And I think that's exciting.
I can't believe you guys can't see it.
What's that?
I can't believe you guys can't see it. It's obvious what's going to happen. The reason why she's like this is because Georgiou's gone. And we're going to realize that and find out that she doesn't have that tether. And by the end of the season, she's going to realize she's going to need to go back in time. And she's going to go to the thing. And she's going to be the comedic aspect of the Section 31 show because she's going to go back and work with Georgiou. I can't believe you guys can't see this here. This shit writes itself.
Yeah. The sarcasm is dripping right through the screen.
Option, yeah. I mean, I could maybe.
Picture it. Georgiou and Tilly, the show. Come on. That'd be great.
That would be awesome. Yeah.
That would be interesting.
A Tilly clone is created, goes back to the past to help out Georgiou, yeah.
What if we have a transporter error like we get on Lower Decks?
You're writing a Lower Decks episode now. You realize that.
Oh man, I love this. This is great.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Actually, that is really good fodder for Lower Decks.
It would be. It would actually be hilarious if on Lower Decks, season 3, if there is some bizarre like Georgiou cameo as she's like going through time somewhere else. They wouldn't do that, but that would be hilarious. Anyway,
they could. That would be easy.
But seriously, Brandon, what do you think is like going on in Tilly's mind? Like, what is she like struggling with?
I don't know, and this is interesting. I think it's actually, you know what? I think I know what it is. I think it's the fact that she's dealing with losing somebody on her first mission where she was in charge.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so and that's what it's going to boil down to. Okay. I don't remember the guy's name,
Nollis.
But with him dying, Nollis, thank you. He died under her mission where she was in charge.
Okay, and along with two other people who actually get names.
Well, along with two other people. So we're going to have Burnham blaming herself, and we're going to have Tilly blaming herself as well. And it's going to be like a situation that they're both going to have to deal with, I think. But probably more Tilly than Burnham will have to deal with this. So, I think that's what it boils down to. So.
Yeah, I think what we're going to find out is she's questioning whether she wants to be command track or not in the end.
Mm-hmm. Or is she even questioning whether she wants to be in Starfleet?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's what I wonder.
Yeah, that could be it too. I don't know.
Maybe she will. What if we get her to come? She leaves for a bit and then she comes back and she's all snotty with Stamets in engineering, and then she goes down to a planet. And this Aboriginal guy goes up to her, and then we realize it's the Traveler. And
I wondered where you were going with that. All right,
got all kinds of wild ideas this week. Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
Tilly's a Traveler. I'm calling it Tilly's a Traveler.
Okay.
All right.
I mean, maybe that's as likely as anything else. Since we're on discussing Tilly here, I thought it was very interesting, particularly on the second watch, of her whole asking if Saru got taller, because what I got from that is she's feeling quote unquote shorter.
Oh yeah,
she's feeling not
way to see it,
as put together as she was, or as she thought she was. So I think that's. I mean, you could read that as funny and just like she's, oh, you got new boots or something. But you can also read it in a heavier way, and I tended to do that.
I like that because the way I read it both times was she was saying that Saru seemed like more confident and was carrying himself in a more confident way. But that's a very interesting interpretation that Tilly feels, a little maybe less confident in comparison and is feeling that difference. Yeah. Wow.
And those are not mutually exclusive.
I mean, or Saru's boots actually got taller.
Right. Yeah, do that.
Slightly higher platforms. But no, I mean, that's a great thought. I'm just fascinated. I've been thinking about this, especially these 2 episodes. Like when we first met Tilly in season 1, I didn't know what to think of the character. I didn't know if I would like her, but I've liked her more and more and more. And at this point, I like what they're doing with her character and how Mary Wiseman is playing that I think she's become one of my favorite characters. She might only be second to Burnham for me at this point. You guys know how much I love Burnham, but like I've really like enjoyed that and felt more like into her journey and like what she's going through. She's definitely become more of a favorite character.
Yeah. Especially because I read the Tilly book, Way to the Stars.
Way to the Stars. I love the Way to the Stars.
And that gives a nice rounding of what's going on. Even though it'll probably get overwritten in canon, but that's okay.
It hasn't yet. But
no, it hasn't yet.
I love that book as well. Anybody out there who loves Tilly should read The Way to the Stars. It's a fantastic book.
Definitely. Yeah. So going back to what I was talking about at the beginning, getting particularly into what I was referring to, she says things don't feel the way they used to. Right. And I think even if you take this as an ongoing analogy for the pandemic, and I think you're correct about that it's more of that of an ongoing versus afterward. But we are, in a lot of places, we are coming out of lockdown, even though the threat is still there, getting even more threatening because of the new variant.
Yeah, I mean, there's still that uncertainty, right? Like even today, as we record this, there's a new variant that a lot of health officials are worried about, and it's like, okay, what's going to happen? Yeah. But like we won't know for some weeks or maybe a month or two, like what the science, like a lot of uncertainty, right? Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that is how we all feel coming out of lockdown. Those of us that were privileged enough to be able to be locked down, I should say. But yeah, because you want to be like, okay, I'm going to go to the grocery store, but you know what? I'm still going to put on a mask.
Yeah.
And I'm still going to, spend the least time in there as possible. I'm not going to window shop. I'm going to, buy a week's worth of groceries instead of just grab what I need for right now. So even though things are closer to the way they were, it's still different. And it's not ever going to be the way it was for
I don't think it's ever going to be the same. And I've been thinking about this. There are ways in which my behavior will be forever changed no matter what happens with the pandemic. Yeah. Like in the future, even if there's, no pandemic, we don't need to worry about COVID. I'm going to go out with a mask when I'm among a lot of people or in a store or whatever, I think for the rest of my life. So I wonder in Discovery if they're going to talk about things that this gravitational anomaly changes that will forever change people. I mean, it's already like forever changed, like Quajon, the planet doesn't exist. A lot of people died, right? Like, so it feels like this thing that is having such a big impact that there's no way things can be the same as before, is how it feels. Yeah.
It always makes me think of people who were in their formative years during the Depression.
Yes, and it forever changed them, right? Yeah. Like my mother-in-law grew up in the Depression, and how she interacts with certain things and does certain things comes from 85 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, one of my grandfathers did not trust banks.
Yeah, he
had a safe in his basement, and he put money in it. And context makes perfect sense.
Yeah,
because he was a teenager during the Depression, and so I think we're going to be seeing that with the COVID thing, and I think it would be good to see that with the responses to this anomaly.
Yeah.
You could actually even see that with people responding to the lack of dilithium from last season, too.
I mean, that changed
things.
There's
potential for that as well. Yeah. So the things don't feel the way they used to is very much... I think that's going to be very much the Trek analogy that we know and love for something that's going on right now.
Excellent. Okay, so our next topic here is Gray's new body. Now, I'm just going to start. This is the plot line that I'm kind of the least interested in right now, and it feels weird to me because I'm trying to come to terms with this from what we know of Trill so far, and like. The closest thing that we got to something like this so far was during Jadzia's, I can't remember the name of it. And thank you. And Curzon wanting to stay in Odo's body.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. And so it's not the science of the fact of, well, can this be done? I mean, but also I'm still going back to last year. Like, I don't understand why Adira's human. I still think Adira should have been Trill, because then I wouldn't have any issues with Adira having a symbiont inside of their body. and just all those little questions just go away if you just make that one change. And while we see Jadzia able to talk to her other hosts before, we don't see it in this way before. And so, like, I'm still kind of coming to terms with that, with what I know for Star Trek. But I think it would be very detrimental if Curzon left Dax suddenly.
Yeah.
And then Jadzia Dax no longer had access to that aspect of the personality. Now, I understand that that Gray was not joined for very long. The impression that I got was they were not joined for very long. But I'm just having trouble coming to terms with this. And if they remove Gray completely from Adira, then that aspect of Tal is gone. And I'm just trying to come to terms with that.
Yeah, that's interesting, because I hadn't thought of it that way. I thought that somehow it would be like manifested within a body and that consciousness would go forward, but all of those memories would still be within the symbiont, is how we don't know yet because it hasn't happened, but is how that would happen, almost like a copy of the consciousness maybe. But like, I think it's interesting you've had issues with this, because for me, we probably talked about when we talked about last season, like, it's technically possible for a human to have a symbiont, because Riker had it, but there was a lot of problems, right? But I thought, 800 years of advancement, maybe you could do that. But what I like about this and what I'm really looking forward to, and I think this was kind of pointed up in some of what happened within the episode, is, it's very much, an analogy for a transgender experience. And in particular, when Gray is like, that mole there, that doesn't feel like me, let's take that off. It's kind of like constructing the person that you want to be. And I think that's great to see in Star Trek as an analogy for something that happens in real life. So I like it for that. And I don't think as much about, to be honest, some of the Star Trek technicalities of how it's possible. There's a lot of stuff I think we have to accept that seems like magic. But Chrissy, what do you think of like this plot line and what happened in the episode?
Gray uses the word transitioning.
Yes.
Yeah, and so that can be read, because the actor is trans, is he not?
Is, yeah.
Okay, so that can be read, we don't know that the character is not also.
I think it hasn't been said on screen, but I think that is the intention of the writers, that they've said elsewhere, yeah. Yeah,
that even if that is not the intent of the writers, it's still, the analogy still fits, the concept still fits in that idea of having the way you are, having the person you are match how you appear to the rest of the universe. I also, the feeling of having a moment of great happiness amidst insane sorrow and unhappiness is incredibly relatable, to me. And I think all of us, and even with small things, again, during lockdown, we're never going to be able to talk about anything again without referencing that. But yeah, I mean, like something good happens during lockdown, like, oh, hey, something small. I don't know, learned how to bake bread. A lot of people did that, and you feel happy about that. But then you're like, oh, should I feel happy about it because like all these people are dying?
Yeah. And I've definitely had the experience this year and last year that there's a lot of really great stuff happening in a lot of parts of my life, and you feel like a little guilty about that because there's a lot of people that are suffering or dealing with a lot of difficult stuff. So yeah, that scene where it's like, this is a great thing, but we have this tremendous tragedy that's happened and all of this uncertainty, billions more people could die. Like, how should I feel in this moment? And I have to say, like, I really love the interaction that Adira and Gray have, kind of this playful interaction, but they can talk about serious things as well. I really like that. I'm interested to see when Gray like incorporates in this body how the interaction changes or what that's like, because I'm maybe just presuming like that it's talking and not certain other aspects of a relationship you might typically have. Like, how does that change when there's actually like a body you can, touch and interact with? So I don't know if they'll go there, but I've been thinking about that because the interaction is kind of limited in just talking to this figure, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
hadn't thought of that. Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see. And I mean, like, the other aspect of it, too, is, like, the direct reference to an aspect of Star Trek Picard that I really didn't like at all. Where like, we're going to use the Soon-type method. Remember when they did that with that guy? I don't know. What's his name? I don't know. He's not important.
Yep.
So Picard dude.
Picard is not as important right now.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm like, I didn't like that aspect of Picard. So to be calling back to this thing that I didn't like is also adding to my not liking.
Oh, that's very
this
interesting
plotline
because
right now,
I like that aspect of Picard, so I love that reference. But yeah.
No.
Alton Sung is important 900 years later. Yeah.
I just appreciated that because when they said it's Soong's method, I assumed the elder, but of course they're talking about the younger as soon as he brings up the card. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. Okay, that works.
Let's see. What else can they reference that would make Brandon even more upset? I don't know.
Anywho, so that's my thought process on that. So our next topic here, let's talk about the gravitational anomaly here.
Yeah.
And okay, so I'll just start with this is modern TV and how they got to blow everything up out of proportion here. And this thing is 5 light years across.
Yeah, it's
and so like
pretty big.
This is ridiculous to me that this thing is this large. Okay, the next closest star in our galaxy is less than 5 light years away. It's 4.93 light years. So that means if this thing was centered between us and that other star, both of them would be encompassed by this. The nearest star. Okay, V'ger was 93 AUs in diameter.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. An AU is the Earth to the sun.
Right.
Okay. So this is 93 times that. This is V'ger is still 0.00147 the size of this thing.
Yes.
This anomaly is 3,400 times larger than V'ger's cloud. It's just ridiculously large, and I'm like, it doesn't need to be this big. Like, to put it.
But let's talk about that, right? So first of all, in this episode, there is something that doesn't seem right. That's different than what they expect. Because actually, if it were, like a binary black hole merging, it would be much smaller than 5 light years across. However, we have had anomalies bigger than this in Star Trek. Even in All Good Things, the anomaly, billions of years in the past, was like a whole quadrant of the galaxy. Now we can argue whether, that wasn't real and Q made that up or whatever before it was fixed. But that thing is tens of thousands of light years across. So we have had big anomalies before, even like the Expanse and Enterprise is like a couple thousand light years or something like that. So it's within the realm of possibility. But the Expanse is like... It's a series of a bunch of different anomalies, but...
Yeah, the Expanse is like a big desert, is how I always thought of it.
But regardless, I think we have, especially within All Good Things, we have had things that are just enormous, right?
Yeah.
But I
never interpreted the thing from All Good Things to be real. I thought that was always something that Q created, right?
No, I think it could go either way. But okay, but let's set...
Depended on how
let's even set that aside for a moment. Just its size tells you there's something different that's going on. And Tilly says she has not seen anything within the astrophysics she knows that would allow it to change direction or do some of these things. So I think the size itself tells us there is something that's going on. And that would lead me to believe that there is something that's created this, or there's some adversary that's created it, or something like that. Like, compared to what we know currently about astrophysics, this is impossible. It's way, way, way too big, because even
sucking in everything.
Because even like a black hole that's billions of times the mass of the sun, which is at the center of a lot of different galaxies, is less than 5 light years across, right? So, but I think this is going to go into where they're going with it. There's something that's going on that's not natural that is making it this big. So, but also like what we know of currently because I mean, there are real gravitational waves that we've detected and that come from things like merging black holes. Those are the gravitational waves we know of. They're talking about subspace gravitational waves, which of course in Star Trek you put subspace in it, it becomes something you've never seen before. But like I can see how you feel that.
It makes it cool sci-fi,
I can see how you feel that, but I think that they're going someplace that its size means there is something way different that's going on that they're going to get into. But I like it because it seems just so threatening.
I am so glad you said tsunami, because the only thing I could think of was Shin Godzilla.
I haven't seen that one.
The Fukushima analogy.
I haven't seen that one.
Okay. So Shin Godzilla is the one that they did after Fukushima, and it's Godzilla is very much just an animal, and there's no intent behind what Godzilla's what he's doing. Okay, but it's also this commentary on how poorly that tsunami and all of the after effects of it were handled by the Japanese government. Mm-hmm. So it's just if you take the gravitational anomaly as just this is nature, and I don't think it is going to be nature, like Justin said. I think this is going to be something directed, and yeah. But if it were just nature, it's Godzilla trampling Tokyo, not knowing what he's doing, not knowing that it even matters to anybody. It's nature attacking, and what do you do with that?
It's the Davidians.
Well, it could be the Davidians. They're not nature, though.
I thought she was saying it was Space Godzilla. I'm like, I don't know. I must have misheard her.
Oh, yeah. I guess I am. It's Space COVID Godzilla.
Space COVID Godzilla. I love it. Even better. Mm-hmm. Even better. So.
Yep.
I mean, Justin, what you were saying there, like, sure, you know what? Let's wait and see. Okay, so I'll put that on the back burner. Mm-hmm. Okay, You've convinced me to wait.
Okay.
You've convinced me to be optimistic about this plot line. So let's go with it. So.
Okay.
I'll give you one more reason to be optimistic.
No, I only want one.
You can't handle more than that.
Other people can have this reason. You can decide between the two. They may not be reading it correctly because it's not like they got out there with a tape measure. Gravitational waves, subspace waves, things can affect their sensing equipment. So
it's really 10 light years
it might
across.
Actually be 5 light years across.
Maybe potentially, yeah. Could distort some things, yeah.
Okay,
yes, that's the word I was looking for, distortion. Did anybody notice that when we pulled back at the end and we saw when it was, we saw the thing that looks like an eye? Yeah. It reminded me of one of the things that they see when they're traveling in time that we see in Star Trek 4.
Oh.
They go back and forth. There's that moment of where it's like, I don't know, things come together and it kind of is like this oval shape with the sides stretched out.
Oh, I hadn't thought about that.
I always thought that was the whale. That was like another view
I
of the
think
whale.
it eventually becomes the whale, but yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about that because that sequence is one of the craziest things in Star Trek. Like, I love Star Trek 4, but that sequence is weird.
Yeah. Well, no, it's not. They're reliving what they did. That's not. Okay.
I understand what they did, but it's weird. The special effects are weird.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Weird choice. That Leonard Nimoy was a weird director, man. What did he know about Star Trek?
Go ahead.
Okay. So anyway, I saw that in there, and it made me think of that, which is also the whole, like, we've damaged nature to a point where we can no longer deal with this problem that has presented itself, which is, again, another analogy. This time I would place that as an analogy for climate change. So it's just more analogy treks. So.
All I'm going to say is I'm going to be upset if Burnham caused this anomaly. Okay?
Probably not. You know what? Stamets caused it. Then you can really be angry at him.
Or Saru.
This is the result of the spore drive. See, I told you.
My sister came up with something so funny. She texted me after she watched it, and she says, I know what happened. And I said, what? And she goes, there's a Ferengi who lost all of his profit, and his grief became a black hole.
I love it.
I'm stealing that.
Great.
So.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's move on. Canon Connections, you wrote Dr. Soong. Anything else?
Yes, actually. Listener Rebecca Skipper has also requested we expand our canon connections because we've done fewer before.
Yes, I was going to mention that. That is easier than the other listener who asked it that we expand our use of puns. And
sorry, listener, we haven't done that lately. But no, go ahead, Chrissy, if you have some, because I have a long list.
Be careful, otherwise, if you do too many canon connections, we may go down a black hole.
Were you even listening in this episode? Yes. This thing probably isn't a black hole. It's something else. But anyway, go ahead.
Bad pun, Justin. Not really a pun, but okay. All right. So in order of least to maybe most relevant, Of course, we talked about Dr. Soong already. Did anybody notice that President Rylak wears a single earring on her right ear?
I did not. Is it a Bajoran earring?
Mm-hmm. It is not a Bajoran earring where it's curved up, but it is kind of like this curl shape around her ear.
Oh, wow, I hadn't noticed that.
So I don't know if that's, if it's a style, like this is the fashion of the time.
It's a
or
32nd century Cardassian earring. I don't know. Right. That's interesting. I hadn't even noticed that. Wow.
Yeah, I only saw it on the second viewing. And it's on the side of the Believers of the Prophets, because I guess if you wear it on the right side, it's Prophets, left side is Pirates.
Maybe this many years later, the Bajoran earring looks different.
Yeah, I mean, 900 some odd years. Well,
800, so
800 some odd years.
Oh, I'll have to look for that next time. I didn't see that.
Yeah, it's real brief, because we don't see her a lot. But then there is the big one, which I'm sure, Justin, you had written down at the top of your list. Zora.
Zora, yeah.
The computer is now Zora.
Named herself Zora.
Yes.
So
Is that a canon connection when it's a character that's already in the thing?
I mean, it's another connection to moving along the story for Calypso, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I deem it appropriate.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
But yes, we didn't even talk about that, but I'm sure we'll see more on Zora.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And now Calypso can make more sense.
Maybe. It's still the Discovery A. We need to see what they do about that. But
oh, well, I forgot about the A. Yeah. All right. Well, fine.
And the 1,000
They
years
went out there and scrubbed that off.
It'll all make sense. I'm sure we'll have that episode where we talk about it and you'll be like, wow, I can't believe it, but it makes sense. This is my wish for the future, but I'll probably be disappointed.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I wouldn't complain. And that's it. That's all.
Oh, okay.
That's all I have.
So should I go through some, or do you have any?
Do it.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right.
You're better at this than me.
No, it's okay.
You're our Canon Connections
guy.
Well,
I just read the Trek Core article and then
Justin's
look up
Canon Connection Corner.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. So we saw Captain Giorgio's telescope. It's still around, which is cool.
Oh, yeah.
From, early days of Discovery. I like that connection. Let's see. So Saru's offered the command of the USS Sojourner, which is probably named after the Civil War era abolitionist Sojourner Truth, who had quite the interesting life. Listeners should look that up. And maybe Christy should have a history corner on that. Or
I should have had a history corner prep for that.
That's okay.
Shame.
That's okay. You can do it on History with the Zilagis. Take my okay. Yeah. But also there is also a Mars rover named Sojourner, which is actually in the opening credits for Enterprise. And the Navy has a Sojourner class ship or something like that, and there's a class of ship like that in Star Trek Online, so it's connected to some stuff. Okay, so let's see what else. Having the captain serve as first officer, of course, this isn't the first time that it happened. Decker did that, and Spock did that, so it has happened. In the
although technically Decker got a demotion to commander, they called him commander in the movie.
I guess that's right. Well, Spock definitely did as captain, serve as first officer. Okay. Let's see. There's a Cliffs of Surak in the program that Michael's running. I always love a Surak reference. We didn't talk about Hero Bryce and his kite surfing analogy, which I thought was cool.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up because I want to put that down. It should have been Bryce that did that. I was disappointed that Burnham's like, oh, I'm just going to push this button and do the thing now. It should have given Bryce an opportunity to do something. Bryce, here's my idea. It's like kite surfing. Well, Bryce, you know this stuff. Take it away, Bryce. It should have been Bryce.
Okay. Well, regardless, it was cool to get him to get his moment to shine. But he also mentions kite surfing on Monarch. I think it's Monarch 4, MANARK, which was mentioned in the TOS episode, The Empath. So that's cool.
Cool.
Let's see.
That is not a good episode of TOS.
I've gone back and forth on that one. I like aspects of it. It doesn't
make it not real.
So just Saru being called Mr. Saru is kind of like Mr. Spock. So I'll take that as a connection. One other thing is when Burnham is also on that in that holo program on Navarre, she talks about Lake Huron. Yuron, I think I'm pronouncing that right. That was actually first referenced in a Voyager episode, The Disease. So there's a deep cut right there. I think that's all that I got. There was, quite a few. And we will try to have these expanded in the future.
That also refers to Euron Greyjoy from Game of Thrones.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also a misspelling of Lake Huron.
Yeah, it's a typo for Yukon. No.
Yeah.
But lots of little cool things in there. So,
final thoughts?
I mean, like I said before, I really love this episode. I'm really looking forward to where things are going.
Me too.
What are your final thoughts? I have a final wish that Stamets will be Brandon's favorite character by the end of this season. Make it so.
Make it so. We'll see.
That's more likely than it being Michael, so all right.
I don't know, though.
Well, I'm already liking Michael more than I have. So
Okay.
Get with it, Stamets.
Okay, so I want to call out Olatunde Osansomne for a second here.
Your favorite director?
So,
not really.
Yeah, not really my favorite director.
I love him.
However, okay, we didn't get enough time for me to make my joke from last week, so I'll kind of make it here now. I'm sure last week that he was freaking just orgasming for 6 days because he got to film an episode half upside down, because I've made comments before that he's not going to be happy until he can film an entire episode upside down, and he got halfway there last week.
6 days after 4 hours, he should go to the hospital. But
however, I loved the spore jump where he kept the camera in relation to the ship. I loved that. I thought that was fantastic.
That was cool. And you see like the distorted stars before they kind of, become normal.
So I wanted to call that out because I love that shot so much. I'm like, I love that shot. Who directed this episode? And I'm like, you're kidding me.
I know you've been so critical of his direction, but that's cool. You like that shot. Oh, while we're talking about the spore jump, I know we talked about it last week with the new sound effect. And at the time I was like, oh, that's weird. That's really going to bother me. You know what? In my rewatch of the first episode, my rewatches here, I noticed it a bit, but it doesn't bother me. Sorry.
Yeah.
Did you?
The other thing, so the one thing that I was like, meh, on this episode was like all the freaking flamethrowers coming out of the bridge. Like, what was that?
I have an explanation for you.
It was constant. There was like just push, push. I was expecting Oz the Great and Powerful to come out, like, because it was just these push, push flames. Like, it was crazy at how much flames were coming out of the back.
It's so funny because I saw other people latch onto that on social media, but for me, it felt like relatively similar to what we've seen when there's a lot of damage and there's sparks flying, and you have I want to say there have been a few places where there have been flames and things like that, but let's say that it's a way of dissipating energy that would normally take the shield strength down. Let's say that. Anyway, I didn't mind it at all, so I'm just fascinated that it bothered you and other people. But
it was just how many there was, and how, it was like
there was just that much damage,
kept happening for the rest of the episode. You know, like that's like some serious propane leakage. Like it's crazy that they still run on propane. So, you know.
Do they have propane accessories? That's a nice King of the Hill joke. Anyway.
I want to see that giant alien head dude like cooking a shish kebab right while that thing's going off.
Okay.
Anywho, Chrissy, where can people find you when you're not seeing visions of little boys running around behind you?
So in addition to here on Infinite Diversity, you can find me on History with the Szilagys here on the UFP network, and that's a twice weekly podcast about short bits of history I do with my partner Jason. And I'm happy to chat about our shows in the Federation Council chambers on Facebook. And I'm on Twitter at the Goddess Livia, that's TheGoddessLivia, where I tweet about Star Trek history and leftist politics.
Excellent. Justin, where can people find you when you're not podcasting, but you're not actually here because you've like transmitted like a fake version of yourself to be here while we're doing this?
I mean, how do you know I'm not doing that right now? And I have the advanced technology, so you can't see it as like this little device on my head.
Well, that's what I think you are doing. I'm just assuming that you're doing it.
But it feels so real. It feels just like the real thing. But I'm actually on Mars right now. Anyway, you can find me on Twitter. Because I'm actually on Mars in the future after it's been terraformed. I live in a colony there, and it's a really long story. You'll have to see the show that was made about my life in the future, but I need to transmit it back to... Okay, that's too far. You can find me on Twitter.
I'm lost.
I'm at TrekFan4747, where I tweet about nothing but Star Trek and my experience as a future colonist on Mars. And you can find me on Facebook in the Federation Council chambers, where we talk about any and all UFP episodes, including this one. I hope you'll join us there.
And as for me, you can find me here on the network with another show called Franchise Fatigue, which is all about movies, remakes, and sequels. And right now we're covering the Matrix movies and leading up to the Matrix, Resurrections, I think they're calling the fourth one here. And then after that, we'll be covering Scream, leading up to the new Scream film. I'm looking forward to that. So Zach hasn't seen those yet. So
and any of them?
Ooh.
None of them.
Wow.
No.
I've even seen the first one.
What?
I know. That was like 25 years ago when I used to watch more movies, but
I know, isn't that old? You're old. All of us are old.
Yeah.
Can you believe that?
I mean, we're older than some other people, but younger than others. What do you mean I'm old?
True. 25 years. I watched that in high school. I was already old in high school, and now I'm 25 years older.
Yeah.
What's going on here?
What do you mean you're already old in high school?
Because I was an
What year
adult,
did that come
right?
out?
Like I'm like almost not an
Oh,
adult,
okay.
anyways, right? Like, so 94, I think, or no, it's 25th, so 96 it came out. So
Did it really?
I was in high school too.
I was also in high school.
Anyhow.
Cool. Okay.
Here on the network. So I got Franchise Fatigue, and then I've also got my Hitchcock podcast, Good Evening and Alfred Hitchcock podcast. Here on the network, we got some other great shows. You can join Amy Nelson, Ken Tripp, and Patrick Devlin discussing all good things, covering all Star Trek all the time. Rhea Papagiorgio, Kevin Scharf, Amy Nelson, and Joe Keegan cover TNG all the time on board the Galaxy class. And who wouldn't want to be a kid again? Join Chris Tribuzio, Patrick Devlin, and Casey Pettitt as they talk all things under the Disney umbrella with Mickey's Marvels. And take a stroll through Star City and discover all things that make Arrow Arrow with Lance Laster and Cavante Chillis on Always Hold On to Arrow. And then Ken Tripp and Zach Moore just take a lighthearted look at the cultural phenomenon of Bigfoot on Sasquatch. Thank you very much for tuning in to Infinite Diversity. Thank you to our executive producers, Ken Tripp, Tony Robinson, and Zach Moore. Thank you to Zach Tripp for the wonderful theme music and Tony Robinson for the awesome show art. Please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, and please subscribe. If you want to reach out, you can find the network on Twitter at UFP Earth, or our show in particular at IDIC Podcast. You can also talk about any and all of the UFP podcasts in our Facebook group called the Federation Council Chambers, or you can email us at infinitediversity@UFPEarth. On the next episode, we'll be talking about Burnham's mom in the next episode of Discovery called Choose to
It's
Live.
a time-traveling Elnor also.
Until then, peace and long life.
This has been a production of MTMR Media Works.
Okay.
Still
so
have
there
yet
we
to
go.
have a canonical Justin in on-screen Star Trek, but anyway,
true.
I forget what his name is.
Okay. Well,
Wasn't that Garrick?
know
Isn't
what
that
I'm
Garrick's first name? Justin Garrick?
Yeah, that's the
No.
Cardassian
Elam.
translation of Elam. Yeah.
Somebody turn off the propane. It's just going off left and right all over the place in here. Just somebody shut off the barbecue.